Good morning, everybody. Do you get all can hear me properly? Okay. So good morning, everyone. I would like to, as Ashma already spoke about me, I am senior commercial specialist. Am I audible, Ashma? Okay, somebody else is okay. So as Asma was just mentioning about me, I am senior commercial specialist with the US Embassy Delhi, and I cover all of South Asian country, which includes India, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. And on behalf of US Embassy, I like to thank you all and welcome you all to this virtual session on balancing work life. And I'd especially like to thank you all because, the very fact that you have joined this session talks about the fact that you all understand the importance of thinking about balancing your life with work and your day-to-day lifestyle. And you not only, decided to join this session, but also chosen Sunday to join this session, which becomes very important because, in women's life, especially, I see few men, so I won't be biased. For men, equally, it is applicable. But for women's life, Sunday is the most important day of the week. We have so much to achieve on Sunday, like pending work, household work, our own interests. So good that all of you have decided to think about you individually and thought that it is important for you to uh, discuss and talk about this important topic. In addition to all of you, I'll also like to thank Ashma and LedBy Foundation for thinking about organizing a discussion on such important topic. You know why we have chosen this topic of balancing work-life balance? Sometimes to us as individual, these all things looks like, what nonsense, why we are wasting talking about something which is practically impossible. Balancing is a misnomer according to me. There's nothing called balancing. Everything has to be, it's tilted either here or that side. But the reason why we have all decided to have this discussion is because now today's women, there is a different thinking process amongst the women today. They are exposed to more platforms, whether it's technology, e-commerce. They have more what do you call responsibilities, both at home, at workplace. They're exposed and everything, and at the same time, their issues with their personal life, whether it's a biological issue, like we get pregnant, we have our menopause, we have hurdles both at home and in offices. At the same time, with the changing scenario and with the technology and enhancement, and the kind of education that we are getting, our self expectation has become very important in our life. We have having a lot of self expectation out of us, like we want to be the best, whether be at the workplace or be at home. We want to cook the best food for our child. We want to give the best to our employee without realizing that there's nothing called best. It is all, relative. And when we think about best, then comes the issue of balancing your work life. So that's why this topic is very important. And I think this is important not only for women, but for everybody. Even for men, there is a lot of expectation which has increased over a period of time. For example, we women, we have all started working. On an average, in a metro city, most of the women are working, whether it's a small work or big job. So men has to compete not only with the women whom they always thought they are just under them, but at the same time within home as well as their workplace. So even for them, it's a mental torture everywhere. So it's not only for women, but also for men. But it is more for women because we have our own clocks, biological clocks. We have other issues at home. We have self-expectation. So it works for both, but it is more for women. And also, I like to share one example. I have I cover all of South Asia, and I'm a lawyer by profession. So I do a lot of discussion, deliberation, and programs of intellectual property right, which is trademark, copyright, IP. So wherever I go to organize a program, wherever I'm speaking, I have seen everywhere, whether it's college, organization, whatever it is the woman who is organizing that program. For example, here Ashma is the one who has organized this from LED Foundation. But when it comes to workplace, they, shy back to get on the top position because they feel they will not be able to meet the, priorities of their life. They won't be able to balance their life. So that's why we need to think about this. And we are very happy that LedBy Foundation has, managed to get hold of our eminent speaker, Ruksheda Syeda ji, who is here today with us. I'm sure she'll be able to share much more from her mental wise. We can share our experience by practical experience, but being a doctor, she sees patient with these issues who comes to her on day-to-day basis. So she'll be very happy to share the issue that she see, and we would encourage all of you to ask as much of question as possible, because such program can hold value to you only if you ask question. We can all come, speak, and go. That is not going to help you at all. And before I end, from my personal experience, I like to share one thing is that uh, balancing of life comes, as I said, there's nothing called balance in life. There can never be a balance in life. But what can you define as balance of life is when you know how to prioritize your life. For example, I am a mother of two kids, and for me, educating them myself is much more important than giving them tutor. So when I'm on travel, I teach them over phone, which is very stressing for me. But at the same time, I get happiness in doing that. I feel I have, got my priorities. I have been able to attend my priorities. For some of them, some of you, that might not be a priority, but for me, that is my priority. And when I do that, I feel happy and I feel I am balanced. So that is one thing. And also, because we stay in a society where there's a lot of expectation. So apart from your priority, in life, you also need to be clear about your expectation in life. So with those two notes, I like to end and thank you all for joining on Sunday and realizing the importance of your own existence by joining this program. Thank you. Over to you, Ashma.
Thank you so much, Shilpi, for sharing your views. And I really love the way you bring in the women's POV and that's something which even I was missing that, yeah, we do have the biological cycle. And apart from that, a lot behind the scenes happening. So thank you so much for reminding us about that. And with this, I would like to introduced to our coolest facilitator and one of the biggest ally of LedBy Dr. Ruksheda Syeda ma'am, and she is being very vocal about LedBy, about the work we are doing, about the women health, about the um, women empowerment. And I am damn sure that I will again not able to justify the introduction. So ma'am, I would love to you to introduce yourself and let our audience know.
Thank you so much, Aspa, and thank you so much, Shilpi, for setting up the session today so easily for me. And ना introduce अगर नहीं कर सकते ना तारीफ कर लेनी चाहिए है ना Shilpi? We are absolutely open to that. But because we just have very few, just have like an hour with us, so I'm going to really start and like how. And just how, like Aspa said, a little bit more about myself. So I entered psychiatry almost 25 years ago. Been working in private sector. I love my work. I say this all the time. I'm a doctor by default and a psychiatrist by choice. I'm currently honored to be the president of Bombay Psychiatric Society, which is the oldest and the largest body of mental health professionals in India, in any city or state for that matter. We have more than 800 members in our organization. We do a lot of awareness activities. We do a lot of training and retraining for ourselves, for our residents, and all other mental health professionals. I'm also deeply biologically oriented as far as science and psychiatry is concerned. So I also serve as the vice president of Indian Association of Biological Psychiatry. So I could go on and on about myself quite a lot, just because as bane meri taarif nahi kari. Magar, having said that, I'm going to start with that the whole term work-life balance, I feel, is absolutely wrong, right? Work is part of my life. So it's not that life is on one hand and work is on one hand. Just by using those terms in that manner, we set ourselves up thinking that, work is like such a significant and such a huge part of my life. So I'm not to say that it isn't. I'm just saying that when we start recognizing that work is part of my life and my life as a whole, then it makes everything a little bit more easier. And at the same time, everything kind of comes up in importance, right? Especially when we're talking about women. Yes, we do play a lot of roles because we can, but also, unfortunately, because there's a lot of societal pressure, conditioning, gender roles, and all of that as well. Having said that, more and more of us are now getting more agency, understanding our own voices, helping amplify each other's voices. So, of course, I wouldn't be standing here today if I wasn't standing on shoulders of hugely impactful women and powerful women themselves. And I'm older by now, but I'm so happy to be working with younger people because I see that uh, um, I have invested in them in one way, just the way my seniors have invested in me. Having said that, like I said, when we're talking about work-life balance, here I am, psychiatrist on a Sunday, essentially working, right? So where's my balance? Well, you could argue that. Having said that, we do need to find time for everything, just like Shilpi said earlier, isn't it? And so for me, if I'm going to be doing this now, I will balance it out with something else, right? And as a doctor, that balance is very, very important because I understand as a doctor, my entire system, the universe works on symmetry, works on balance, works on a homogeneous platform. If my blood sugar needs to be a certain level, my blood pressure needs to be a certain level, my blood hemoglobin iron needs to be a certain level, because it's all about balance. As a psychiatrist, I understand that all the neurotransmitters in my head, the serotonin and the dopamine and the norepinephrine and oxytocin, they all need to be in a perfect balance for me to be functional. So again, the balance is something that's very inherently very important for all human beings, and that's what we understand as scientists and doctors, but also as women, because we know that it's not just like a trendy term that we are using, not at all. It's not something that, oh, we have just now kind of coined this term, and our ancestors, or even 2 3 generations ago, people didn't understand this and didn't value it. Of course they did. They just probably used either a different term or didn't use a term and just lived their lives, right? Because it was very important for them also to be able to do everything that is that they wanted to do. If they weren't ambitious to do everything that they wanted to do, we wouldn't be here. So when we don't have that balance, right? Like I said, as a doctor, I understand that something is going to go off. Uh, Physically, mentally, financially, and socially, right? So that's why it's important for us to just learn this life skill, right? It is a life skill. All of us grew up with different kind of backgrounds, different kind of subcultures in our own families and family units. But it's again, at the end of the day, we're all the same, right? We all have the same 24 hours. We all probably have the same dreams and aspirations and goals. So it's uniquely, it kind of binds us. We're all so similar to each other, but it's also something that we're so individual. Like Shilpi said earlier, right? You need to define what you think your life is like. You want to define what your success is. You want to define how you see success, right? So I tell myself, I tell people all the time that I'm a Muslim. I'm automatically ambitious because I don't just pray for Jannah, I pray for Jannatul Firdaus. So just like that in life, my ambition is to be happy and successful. If I'm happy, I'll be successful. If I'm successful, I'll be happy. What does that even mean, right? For me, my peace of mind, my contentment, my ability to smile, that's success for me, right? I love money. Don't get me wrong there. Having said that, again, it's that balance, right? If I have only money and I don't have this, I'm not going to be happy, I'm not going to be satisfied. So what are my goals and what are my ambitions? So that's something that's uniquely individual, uniquely yours, right? For me, I need to know that, yes, I'm doing something that I'm going to be better today than I was yesterday. That also allows me to make mistakes in my life. That if I did something last week that I'm cringing on right now, right? Oh my God, what did I do? What did I say? Why did I do this? Oh my God, I should not have said it like that. But it's okay because last week मैं छोटी थी, अब मैं बड़ी हो गई. तो मुझे पता है कि ऐसे नहीं बोलना है या ऐसे नहीं करना है. So that allows me to do that as well. So again, you get to decide, and you need to decide. It's not just that you get to decide, but you should decide what is your life like and where is it that you're going. Because if we're not, again, like I said, learning how to balance, we are subjecting ourselves and opening ourselves to all sorts of dangers, including mental health dangers. When there's chronic stress or acute stress, or if there is, for a long period of time, I am going to be more vulnerable to disorders like anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and something even beyond and more harmful, maybe, and more scary. And burnout is a real thing, right? And burnout is not just about, oh, it only happens after a certain period of time. It can happen just any time, right? I mean, we had a wedding earlier in the family, and I was like, now मुझे शादी की shopping से burnout हो गया है. I'm like, I'm done. I can't look at another dress. I can't look at another piece of cloth. But of course, that was a joke, and it's not. Burnout is much more serious than that. But I'm just suggesting to say that don't don't think or don't hear from people when they say that तुम तो छोटे लोगों को क्या होता है, ये उम्र में burnout नहीं हो सकता है. No, we all need to be vigilant about ourselves and our environment. When we talk about, like I said, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about anxiety, depression. What exactly is it? So mental health is not something different from, physical health, let's say, right? Because health is health. And for me to be healthy, I need to be healthy in all aspects of my life, physical, mental, definitely, but social, financial, and spiritual, right? So, and it's something that we need every day. For me to decide that, I want to be here at this time. I want to be wearing this color today. I want to be speaking in a particular manner today. All of that requires mental health. My ability to have relationships and not fight when I really want to, or love someone the way I want to, or be able to respect someone. My ability to learn, I have this topic to read about, or that topic to write about, or this exam to give, or that interview to give, or the skill to learn. All of that is mental health. It's not just that, what I'm thinking and feeling, right? That's one part of mental health. And when we understand the science behind it and the biological module behind it, it becomes so much more easier for us to recognize that, it's not that tough to do. It's, I can manage my mental health very well, because it's about it's an interplay and a dialogue between my brain and my body, my brain and body, and the external environment. So because my mental health is a spectrum, right? At any given time, I'm going to be mentally healthy, not so well today, maybe PMSing tomorrow, having, again, with women, our hormones are all over the place at any given time of our in our lifespan. So I may be pregnant, I may be PMSing, I may be postpartum, I may be perimenopausal, I may be postmenopausal. So all of that environmental change that happens within me, within my body's environment, is also going to make a difference on my mental health. So, and of course, because it's a spectrum from wellness to illness, if I am somewhere, if it's a range, then I'm okay with it, right? I could have a bad day and not feel terrible about it. But of course, if I'm going towards illness or disorders, that's something, again, that I need to definitely look into. So if my overall mental health is okay and my functioning is okay, I may be able to recognize that I'm heading towards disorders and do something about it, correct it, and then come back to the healthier range of the spectrum. So I need to understand that, if my internal environment changes because of my reproductive lifespan, maybe, but also maybe, what if I have thyroid disorders? So thyroid disorders is going to, 80% of the time trigger some kind of anxiety or depressive symptoms, or disorders for that matter. I could have Parkinson's, or I could be taking medications that have mental health side effects, or I could have a viral infection, just a common flu, but I'm also cranky and I have brain fog and everything, maybe for a week after that as well. So all of that kind of also changes and impacts my mental health. And So when I know how to when I'm more literate about mental health in general, when I know what to do about it, I'm at a better position to help myself, right? And that's why this balancing act comes in very, very important. So how do we balance? What do? We definitely set boundaries for ourselves, right? Like I say that I have a hard stop at my work hours from this time to this time, and that's it. I'm not going to work more than that. Now, I thankfully am in a position in my life where I can do that. When I was younger, especially when I was a resident, I had no boundaries, right? Because we were living in the hospital, you could get a call anytime. If patient care is required. Unfortunately, we didn't have that many great, systems in place that we could clock in, clock out as a resident doctor. I'm assuming that a lot of you guys who are not from the medical background, but will still have these kind of asks in your life, right? But again, it's important for us to set boundaries. And when I say set boundaries, it's not just about time, right? If I'm here talking to you guys today, I need to be here. I can't be thinking about, oh, what is the cook doing? Oh, what's going on in my house, or whether I had a fight in the morning or no with someone or the other, because that's healthy for me. So while everybody encourages multitasking because it's so great and everything, no, you need to be present. You need to be present in the moment wherever you are. And that's going to be helpful for you in a lot of, a lot of ways in life, in especially in mental health as well. So if I'm here, I'm enjoying myself here. So that's also setting boundaries. Of course, there's time management. For us, time management is as a doctor, very, very important. It's not just as a human being, but also as a doctor. My first question is that, oh, khana pina sona kaise chal raha hai? That kind of thing. Because that kind of tells me on the spectrum of health, not just mental health, where are you at, right? So again, these are simple things that I'm sure that all of you all have thought about, read about, been told about. But again, it's important for us to kind of take a step back and think about it. Okay, what am I doing, right? So let's start with like a time management thing. How do I do this? How do I time? So, like I said, I just start with Khana Pina Sona. If is my lifestyle balanced? Right? Am I sleeping well? Okay, so now we all have like I said, the same 24 hours of in our day. So then how do I break up my time? I do need to understand that, okay, on a daily basis, how do I do my to-do list? And my to-do list can include everything, work to-do list, home to-do list, and all of that, right? I have a work life, I have a personal life, I have a family life, I have a social life. I may even have, something else as well. So how do I do that? So when my to-do list happens, the first thing I need to do is, what do I have to do? Like, what is a must on a daily basis? Nahin, I have to see, these are my clinic hours, these are my patients in these hours. That's like a must. I can't do anything about it, right? So maybe that's what I have to do. And then what do I want to do? Oh, I want to talk to this friend, or I want to, check up on this person, or I want to go shop for a new dress, maybe, hopefully. So, things like that. So what do I want to do? And then comes in that, what do other people want me to do? When we divide our day like that, and when we do our to-do list like that, it becomes easier for us to figure out, okay, what's urgent versus what's important, right? Again, so something could be urgent or important. Something could be not very urgent, but important. Something is urgent and not important, not important, and nothing's urgent and nothing's important. So a lot of the times when we get stuck, right, we're procrastinating. So this becomes very, very easy. So for the simple reason, even if I'm supposed to, like I said, I'm setting boundaries, right? If I'm here, I'm sure. So if I'm supposed to be working on this chapter that I'm supposed to be writing on trauma and sexual minorities, I'm sitting here, I'm reading, or I'm writing, or I'm thinking about something, I'm referencing, looking at references, whatever it is that I may be doing, but I'm procrastinating. Okay, so there could be 1,001 reasons why I'm procrastinating: fear of failure, fear of success, my internal critical voice, whatever it may be. So now what do I do, right? So then I do everything else around that, right? In the sense that I don't like open 10 windows. I don't scroll on my phone. I don't take a break. I just sat down 5 minutes ago. How am I going to take a break? So what I will do is I will do everything else around that topic. If I can read, I will, read. If I could just look up something else, I'll look up something else. If I'm not being able to write, that's perfectly fine. Or if I'm being able to write, I'll write and not read, and then figure out how to kind of like, edit later. So everything around that task is also something that I can finish, even if I'm not being able to do that task. So that's how it kind of becomes to understand that what's urgent, what's not important. It's not urgent, but it is also important. It has to kind of get done some of the time. So I'm going to do it now because, again, I want to be focused on this project. If I leave this, then I'm going to feel terribly disappointed, but also terribly guilty that, oh, this time and I didn't do it, and now I have to do it, and I wasted time and all of that, right? So goal settings for me is again very important. So whether the goal setting is just for the day, like my to-do list, or whether I'm talking about in life, right? Uh, for me personally, where do you see yourself 5 years from now is a rubbish question. For me, I'm like, no, I don't, I don't do very well with these kind of hypotheticals. And I don't know where I'm going to land up, right? Because also that, yes, I do have a direction, but I'm also good with rolling with the punches, right? A lot of the things I don't really design, but if it comes up, I'm gonna take up. I didn't design led by, but it came and I took it up, right? So for me, if my goal settings also need to be like a wider goal, like I said, what are my ambitions? I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want to keep growing till the day I die. Ilm hasil karna hai aakhri din tak kind of a thing. But specifically, what are my goals as well? So it's always nice to have that kind of goal, right? But like now, like I just said, I'm writing that chapter. I need to have that goal that, okay, I need to be, so my short-term goals, okay, by this time I need to have a first draft. By that time, I need to have a second draft. This is when I need to send it to the editor. So if I have like the timeline, it gives me a good direction to work, direction to work towards. So it's important for something similar like in life. So what are my short-term goals and my long-term goals? Like if I decided I want to do psychiatry, I wasn't wise enough when I was younger, but I was like, "Acha, something I have to do." So at that time, I was like, I can't be a teacher. That's very, very tough. I don't want to be a homemaker. That's more challenging than ever. So what do I do? Okay, you know what? कुछ समझ नहीं रहा है. चलो MBBS कर लेते हैं. That's how it started. That's fine. That was a goal. For the next 5 years, all I had to do was finish MBBS. And then towards like, okay, then my next goal was like, I don't want to be a general physician because I don't think that's easy to do. It's very demanding. And I don't want to be studying for 10 more years. So then I decided, okay, I like psychiatry. Let me do that. So again, there are short-term goals, long-term goals. And what steps you need to take for those goals is important. Mind you, goals are very different from dreams, right? And for the millennials and the Gen Zs, you guys have monetized everything. Like even a hobby has to be something that you're supposed to be good at. A hobby is something that you're supposed to earn from somehow. So you're monetizing it from, for social media likes, for money, for everything. So sometimes that's not something that we want to do, right? So I need to understand what is my goal versus what is my dream. My dream might be, I want to see the pyramids in Egypt. I still haven't done that yet, but that's a dream. It's not a goal, right? But for my goal, it could be that, no, I must I must visit this particular place because that's what I wanted to do. I want to go there and learn this. So that could be a goal. So even traveling for that matter could be like either a dream or a goal. So it's important for us to have that distinction. And when we are talking about, like I said, how am I multitasking or am I batching? For me, batching is okay. Multitasking is never okay, especially if you're a little bit neurodivergent or very neurodivergent. You understand multitasking is something that is a default factory setting, but it's something that I definitely need to learn as an adult how not to do some of the times, because otherwise adulting becomes really, really difficult. For me, I also tell people that I'm the queen of delegation, because if I can delegate something, it becomes easier for me to kind of finish everything that I want to do. And whatever I can outsource, I will outsource. That's working smart. That's not working too much. If I have control issues because they come from anxiety, I'm not going to be able to delegate. I'm not going to be able to outsource. Even when I'm trying to delegate and I delegate, I'm going to look over somebody's shoulder and see what are they doing. So I need to work work on that. I need to work on my anxiety so that I work on my control issues so I can delegate so that I get to achieve everything that I want to do in life in general, but also maybe just for that one day. So I do definitely need to regularly self-check, self-reflect, self-assessment. So, I wish I had more time for the workshop, because it's kind of like just a very, very mini workshop today that I would give you time right now and put you through some steps that, okay, let's take this time and let's figure out what you want to do. Give us an example of, what have you said? But again, hopefully you can retain and recall some of what I'm saying right now. And, immediately after the session gets over, write down certain things that speaks to you more, because it's okay if you don't, if you don't follow everything that I'm asking you to do. But even if you start somewhere, one point, that's good enough. So, like I said, khana, pina, sona, very, very important. And I need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. My friend is fine with 6. So she gets 2 hours extra in her life, right? But I can't do anything about it. My body needs 8 hours of sleep. And so I need to start from there. So I could, and I sometimes do feel that, oh, I wish I could function with 6 hours, but I'm a walking zombie if I do that. So I need to listen to my body, give it what it does. I hate exercising. I hate anything that makes me sweat. But I also know that if I don't do that, mera to satak jayega, right? It's not just about I'm going to be cranky or whatever. I'm just going to be lethargic, not have enough energy, not feel like doing much, and be more of chill than ever. So it's something that I definitely need to know, that I need to know, that I need to know about my body, that my body responds like that, right? And maybe I was not allergic to something else. Now I'm allergic, so I can't eat those foods anymore, or something like that, maybe. So listen to your body, because what's good for your body is good for your brain, is good for your mind, is good for your soul. If I'm healthy, if I'm being able to function, if I'm doing everything, that's great. Also, the brain is a very economical organ, right? It works on rote memory. So अगर मुझे 2 रोटी की भूख लगती है तो मुझे 2 रोटी की भूख लगेगी. अगर मैं 3 रोटी खाने लग जाऊं तो थोड़े दिनों में मुझे 3 रोटी की भूख लगेगी. Just day before, in fact, I sent it out in the family group that I was talking to my mom. I was like, अभी मेरा कुछ करने का दिल नहीं कर रहा. So my mom is a very sensible woman, one of the wisest women, people I know on this earth. And she's like, जब कुछ नहीं करने का दिल करता है ना, नहीं करना चाहिए. So I'm like, हाँ अम्मी, मगर ना बहुत दिन हो गए. So she's like, अच्छा कितने दिन हो गए? So I was like, हाँ 4 महीने से कुछ करने का दिल नहीं कर रहा है. She's like, अच्छा हाँ अब तो आदत हो गई है. So she gave up on me. She's like, अब तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. So even when she's not a psychiatrist and everything, but she gets it. Okay, once you get habituated to something, that's what's going to happen. So you definitely want to be not let the let it fall to that you're not taking care in terms of कि तुम्हारी कौन सी आदतें बन रही हैं, right? Of course, I mean, I say this to her, but I'm doing something. Hello, I'm here on Sunday morning, and I already did some calls in the morning. I'm going to do something else in the afternoon and evening. So I'm working. It's just that sometimes your enthusiasm level might not be that great, or your motivation level might not be that great, which is fine. So don't worry about it. But if it is happening for more than, like I said, oh, for 4 months, I don't feel like doing anything, slight exaggeration, but all of that, I do need to look into it. I do need to see if my body is okay. Do I have vitamin deficiencies? Is my thyroid okay? Am I gaining weight, losing weight? Am I eating well? Am I starting every meal with eating a protein and not with a carb? Things like that. So that's something that one would assume that it doesn't really come into the balance, but I need to do that to be able to function. Right. And like I said, I tell everybody that adulting is an extreme sport. So if I'm going to adult every single day of my life, which I'm like, oh my God, but but I do need to kind of let the basics be very, very strong, because then everything else, even if I lose track of a day here and there, it's fine. I can come back on track. So what's good for my body is good for my brain, is good for my mind. Mind is just one of the functions of my brain, right? And I can't be brainless and mindful, or mindless and brainy, right? So that's something that, it's a very simple sasta sundar tikau method of figuring out how to balance my life. If I know I'm going to sleep for 8 hours, if I know I have to work out at least once in a day, once for 1 hour every 2 days or something like that, if I know that I have to pray at this time, I have to eat at this time, my life becomes very easy. Time management is automatically done, right? Then just the question is that these are the remaining times. And in this time, what do I prioritize today? What do I prioritize tomorrow? Right. So if I've been working too much, and that happens sometimes that I don't get Sundays off. So for 3 Sundays I'm like been working, then one Sunday I will probably do nothing, because doing nothing is very, very important for me, again, for my brain and my body and my mental health. So doing nothing is something that I really remove time for. So I will finish off everything so that I can aram se do nothing. And something, so again, listen to your body, figure out what it needs. Some of the life skills that we need to do, right? We talk about stress management. अच्छा stress management करना है, but होता क्या है stress management? A lot of it is simply time management and emotional management, right? Now, if I'm not going to be able to do that, वो नहीं होगा balance मुझे. I will forever, it will feel like I'm doing like maths on a daily basis कि अच्छा ये घंटों में मुझे कितना क्या करना है, वो घंटों में मुझे कितना क्या करना है. And there'll be always some demands or some people or, even yourself, that you're going to be unhappy with that maths today, right? That नहीं आज का maths अच्छा नहीं था, जो करना था किया, but फिर भी अच्छा नहीं लगा. So a lot of this kind of emotional distress is again something that doesn't really allow us to, strike that balance. It's not okay for me to come back from work and then be cranky at home. And then to tell everybody कि दिख नहीं रहा है, मैं 9-10 घंटे काम करके आई हूँ. But it's not their fault कि मैं 9-10 घंटे काम कर रही थी. Sure, I may be a provider, I may be all of that also, right? But that's still, it's not okay. That's because I'm not balancing my life. So the easy way of doing that is for me to, like I said, be present, set boundaries for myself. When I'm at home, I'm at home. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm talking to a friend, I'm talking to a friend. And I'm watching something, I'm watching something, which is impossible. I mean, who only watches content, right? Because we're watching content while we're doing something else. So that kind of multitasking doesn't really allow our brain to have that kind of steady dopamine level that we need. It gives us spikes of dopamine, which is not very great. So I need to have my work life in a way that when I come back to my life and outside of work, I can enjoy it, right? I deserve to have family time. I deserve to have personal time. So when I come back, I don't want to enter the house like, a lot of men even now will do that. They'll enter the house and the kids will come running to them and they'll be like, they'll look at the wife and they'll say कि क्या है? So थोड़ी देर संभाल लो ना इनको. अरे वो सारा दिन संभाल रही थी. Having said that, the kids were waiting for you the whole day as well. So I am going to say that, like, be a cranky person coming back from work is because I have exhausted myself there and have nothing left for the rest of my life. That's not balance, right? I may be working a certain amount of hours and definitely I may be feeling that way. But if I need to, I'm going to sit outside my house, take 5 minutes, rest, then come into the house with a smile. Not for my kids, not for my wife or husband, but all because for me, because that's important for me. And that's something that, if we are looking at life goals, that needs to be a life goal. That when I'm at home, I can enter the house with a smile. I can anticipate meeting my family the way they're anticipating meeting me, feel all the clamor around me and, feel the comfort from all the clamor that comes from, the family and everything. So that's something that when I do that, that makes me feel that, theek hai, that way. But it's also okay for me to say that, I've just come in, give me 5 minutes, let me just freshen up, and then I'm going to sit with you. If my family is okay with letting me do that, then that's great. If not, then I'm going to sit outside for those 5 minutes and then come home with a smile on my face because I want to enjoy my family life. I refuse to shortchange myself, right? I refuse to only work because, work is so important and I get so many accolades at work and it's so rewarding monetary wise and all of that. Or to me, be all of that, but I'm not striking that balance. So if for me to do emotional management, I know I've written certain words here because they are really, really important and key words, but we don't have the time to get into today, but hopefully this is something that you'll think about and you'll maybe read up and you'll figure that out. How do you manage that? Is like simply identifying your emotions. It's more than आज मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, आज मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. Because when I'm identifying my emotions better, I'm figuring out what am I feeling, else am I feeling. Then it becomes easier for me to do problem solving in that feeling, and then I can manage it better. and I'm not a slave to my reactions, right? गुस्सा आ रहा है थप्पड़ मार दो, डर लग रहा है ब्लैंकेट में छुप जाओ. So I'm not just going to be that kind of reactive. I'm going to definitely try and figure out how do I respond. Okay, I'm identifying this has happened. This is making me feel anxious, and it's also making me feel guilty that, oh, I should have studied this before so that right now I wouldn't be this anxious. So then when I'm like, okay, now that I'm feeling all of these things, what do I do? Because I need to figure out what is my correct response, right? I want to have better judgment in my life. I want to make decisions for myself that are healthy and that are going to make me progress and grow as a human being. So respond, not react, is something that I'm definitely going to have to learn, and I'm going to have to actively keep practicing it. Only then will it become second nature. Remember, brain economical organ, आदत लग जाती है. तो अच्छी आदतें डालनी है. अच्छी आदतों में ये भी है कि हम क्यों कैसे नहीं भड़क जाते हैं, हम कैसे नीजक रिएक्शंस नहीं करते हैं, फिर हम सारी जिंदगी उनको डिफेंड करेंगे कि हाँ हाँ मेरा रिएक्शन सही था. गैर ज़रूरी है ये सब कुछ. बहुत बहुत इसके वजह से हमें बहुत डैमेज हो जाता है. सो आई एम गोना लर्न एंड आई एम गोना प्रैक्टिस टिल द टाइम इट बिकम्स second habit. So even practicing kindness is something that I may have started intellectually, that I recognize being kind is good for me. If I'm being kind to others, it's good for me. So I may recognize that, then I may agree, then I may agree to kind of accept it, and then I practice it. Because even if it's something that started intellectually, after practice, it becomes instinctual. So it's important for me to learn these things because it's good for me. If I'm being empathetic, it's not because I'm going to condone whatever you're doing, but if I'm empathetic and I understand where you're coming from, my grief or my sense of betrayal or my sadness or my frustration might be a little less. And that's also part of life skills. And because without these life skills, very, very tough to manage, because we're always going to feel that we are not doing a good job prioritizing. There's somebody always mad at us, including us maybe. So all of that, and all of this is going to build resilience. कि हाँ कर लिया, ये भी कर लिया, कुछ और भी होगा तो वो भी कर लेंगे. So at the end of the day, I need to figure out, what do I want? Is it good for me? And which is the best way of getting it? Even if it's like, हाँ मुझे आज कुल्फी खानी है. Is it good for me? हाँ, क्योंकि मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा शुगर नहीं खाया इस हफ्ते. And which is the best way of getting it? No, let me not steal it, or let me not, snatch it from my younger brother's hand. Let me go ahead and like take another one, or buy one, or order one, or something like that, or make one for that matter. So that's something that even in life we need to decide, right? What are my goals? Are they good for me? And then which is the best way of doing it? How do I balance my life? Is this balance good for me? Okay, how do I achieve this? So, and it has to be realistic, right? As a psychiatrist, trust me, I don't tell people think positively. That's ridiculous. I tell people think realistically. Because if I'm thinking positively, I'm supposed to somehow create this positive, right? No, but if I'm thinking realistically, the reality is already there. And that's less burdensome. So I don't need to be positive. I just need to be realistic. हम इतने पानी में हैं, right? हमसे ये नहीं हो पाएगा. और बच्चे की जान लोगे क्या, right? So think realistically. So what I want, when do I want it? That needs to be realistic. Now, with this realistic also comes, am I being harsh on myself? Am I being self-critical? Am I estimating myself? Or, so it's not just about overestimating. A lot of the times we feel कि नहीं हम तो अच्छे नहीं हैं, हमको तो इतना नहीं आता, हम तो नहीं कर पाएंगे. That's also not living in reality. So that's why I stress that think realistically, right? Have positive but reality-based affirmations on a daily basis so that you get that kind of balance in your brain and your body and your life, and it makes you feel as if you've had a productive day. A lot of cultural considerations. So really men need to do better, right? Other women who are in positions of power, whether in my, day-to-day life, whether it's my mom or my mother-in-law, my whoever it might be, or even my cook for that matter, she holds a position of power in my life. Well, they are nice to me, they are kind to me, right? Because if with women especially, there's so much of demands that no matter how much we try, and हमने कितना ही ज्ञान ले लिया हो, but वो balancing नहीं हो पाएगा unless and until there are some kind of changes in the society in general, in our families, and like I said, in our subcultural, the subunits of families as well. It's important for people to recognize that we're all living this life together. Yes, there's some amount of, division of labor just for the smooth execution of, and functioning of life. But that division of labor is supposed to be helpful. It's not supposed to be damaging, right? And the division of labor again needs to be very individualistic. Why are you assuming I'll cook? You really don't want me to cook. You don't want to eat my food, right? So don't make me cook. You cook, I'll do everything else probably. So that's again something that we need to have these kind of open conversations, and that figure that there is a space for these open conversations. Unless and until that happens, trust me, just not just the women, the men can't balance their lives either, because they'll either be too indolent and like just sitting there and doing nothing. So that's not good for them. And if they don't feel that they've invested enough in the home or the family or the children or the whatever, and they just feel that they're entitled to this, or ownership or leadership, that's not good for them. That again is not reality, right? So their balance is going to be off as well. So this is not just looking after women and being more gender transformative is not just for women. It's about having a good life. I want a partner. I don't want a slave. I want a partner. I don't want a subordinate, right? So as a man also, compassionate leadership is something that I would do for myself, and not because I'm doing a favor to anybody else, or, oh, I'm so evolved or so woke. No, that's for my sake that I need to do that. So a lot of men out there, you do definitely want to think, give it a thought. How can I be a compassionate leader wherever I'm going? And that automatically makes it so much easier for the women around you to be happier, more stable, and like Shilpi said, amazing leaders and organizers. Building that support system around us, I talked about delegation, I talked about outsourcing, I talked about spending time with friends and all of that. How do I do that unless and until I have a support system? How do I build that support system? Where do I even find it? If I'm lucky, I'll find it everywhere, inside the house, outside the house, at work, with friends. If I'm not so lucky, maybe, I might have one source of support or something like that. It's fine. It's okay. And it's not just that, we need a village to raise a child. I need a village to be an adult. I need a village to be adulting, right? Whether that my support system is something that's my paid staff, whether that support system is also somebody whom I can rely on for other things. Absolutely. I mean, I just, had a mehndi ceremony in one of the family functions at my house that I hosted. It was amazing, mashallah. We had a lovely time. I couldn't have done that without my friends, because one of my friends essentially took over the catering in that sense. I mean, she was the one who spent 15 minutes with the caterer inside and looking at everything, and I was busy hostessing. But it turned out to be an amazing time, an amazing day for all of us, alhamdulillah. And so again, if I have these support systems, and if I can rely on them and they rely on me, it just makes life easier and more fun and happy for all of us around. So to having said that, how do we become that support system, right? So first I need to do a self check. Am I okay? Then I need to then possibly ask you, if you're a partner, or if you're a co-worker, or if you're a colleague, or if you're somebody at home or a friend, and if they want you to be supportive at that time, don't just dictate what kind of support you will offer. You could also ask, right? Do you want to be helped? Do you want to be heard? Or do you want to be hugged? Right? And if they say, I want to be helped, then again, you need to ask. Is the same thing as equivalent of when I'm having a conversation. I'm like, okay, are we problem solving or are we listening? So if I'm listening, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and be actively listening. Actively listening means being empathetic and not just zoning out and pretending that I'm listening, right? And not just condoning everything that you're saying and agreeing to everything that you're saying, but I'm just simply listening and trying to be as non-judgmental and as objective as possible, maybe. So however it is that I can be there for someone else, because if I'm there for someone else, I'm teaching them how to be there for me as well, right? So it's not just about give, give, give. And again, I need to be in that right headspace. I need to be having the time to be there for someone. I need to be able to tell the people that I'm there for that, okay, you know what? I have half an hour. Let's sit and talk about what's going on. So it's okay for me to start with the disclaimer, because I know that that person then knows that that half an hour is entirely for him or her, and that's fine, right? Of course, if they're in a bad mood, they'll be like, हाँ रख लो तुम अपने आधे घंटे से मेरा क्या होगा? Again, I'm not going to get defensive, and I'm going to be like, हाँ चलना, but फिर थोड़ा थोड़ा देखते हैं ना, देखते हैं, चल चल बोल देना क्या हो गया? So that's something that I need to learn how to be a support system, so that I also figure out what kind of support system I want. right? So it's a very, very symbiotic kind of like a relationship, and not so much like a give and take. That sounds very bad. That sounds very, कि हम बनियागिरी कर रहे हैं, it doesn't, it's not reflective of a caste, don't worry about it. So that वो हम बही खाता नहीं कर रहे हैं. So that this is something that we all need to know. I need to do self-check before I can be there for someone else. And how do I be there for someone else is also very important. I can't be arrogant about it. Okay, I know what you need, right? Because I don't like that arrogance thrown back at me as well. No, don't tell me what I want. Listen to me for what I'm saying. I'm not even asking you to help. I'm just asking you to be there. I need to know that you have my back so that I can go ahead and do what I wanted. So these are important aspects, right? I need to also be able to ask, do you want to be helped? Do you want to be heard? Do you want to be hugged? At the end of the day, mental health literacy is very, very important for us. We need to figure out how to take care of ourselves. We need to figure out when do we need help? How do we need help? If we need help, how to ask for it. We have to get out of the stigma. You may be having a bad day. You may be having a few bad weeks. Does not make you weak. You may even have depression or anxiety or another kind of chronic disorder maybe. That again does not mean that you've been a bad person or you don't believe in God or तुम्हारा ईमान सही नहीं है. And हाँ, look at Sharma जी का बेटा, वो सुबह उठ के दौड़ लगाता है और नाश्ता करता है. हाँ, all of that is, there. But if you recognize कि हाँ, this is something that I need to look after, and I need to figure out how to ask for help, and I'm not going to be shameful or shamed into not taking care of myself, because not asking for help is not taking care of myself. And at the end of the day, only the strong and wise, they know where that they need help, where to ask for help, and how to ask for that help. So if I'm asking for help, that makes me intelligent, that makes me above the curve, and not somebody that requires pity or sympathy for that matter. So if you recognize that you need something, like I said, what do I need? Is it good for me? What is the best way of getting it? So if I'm recognizing that, that makes me smart. It doesn't make me weak or, sad or pathetic. So go ahead and do that. At the end of the day, I love the two gifs that I always use in the introduction and in the end, because that somehow says that, okay, I'm like this. Like if I had my hair, I would like flick them like this. But if I have my hijab, I'm going to do that as well. Just because, you need to be happy with what you're doing, right? It may not be as much as you had planned. It may not be as successful as you had wanted, but it's important for you to be happy with where you are and who you are and what have you done right now, so that you can build on it. If you're going to be critical and if you're going to be forever criticizing yourself, then you know what? You're not going to be able to be continue to be that ambitious. So while having that fire in the belly, excellent, but you're not going to be able to achieve anything if you're not going to have a good foundation. If I'm happy today, I'm going to be happier tomorrow. If I'm unhappy today, I'm not going to be happy tomorrow, let alone happier. So that's something that, I think that's why also this GIF kind of represents and reflects in that way. And just like Shilpi said, if you're asking questions, we're, learning more, and that's how we learn more. So with this, I'm going to hand it over to the organizers and let them take it away. I know that we're running short of time as well, but, there's so much that I always think I need to speak and so little time. But I appreciate everybody here who's given us Sunday morning for this, because trust me, as a psychiatrist, and I don't want to work a lot. We have very few psychiatrists in this country. So if you take care of your mental health, that's a favor to me as well. क्योंकि मुझे काम नहीं चाहिए ज़्यादा. So yeah, here's wishing all of you guys a good balanced life, because that's a very good step for your mental health. And hoping to hear more from you guys. And over to Asba.
Thank you so much, Ruksheda ma'am, for conducting this session. I never felt that this technical topic can be so humorous and so relatable at the same time. And there were smiles over the face and in the chat box, everyone was like, yeah, that was relatable, or that was like so funny. So thank you so much for bringing in the real life aspect to it, to the work life balance, because it always seems like, oh, we know everything, or does it even the topic? It seems to be the topic like global warming, which we all are studying since 8th class. जो सब पढ़ रहे हैं but पता किसी को नहीं है. So yeah, I just love the session. I just love your energy, ma'am, and I love the energy of the participants as well. That this seems to be so energetic. You made our Sunday mornings, And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you so much for being so vocal about work life balance, that you are here on a Sunday morning. And it shows that, yeah, like this is something which we can actually talk about and take it to next level. And yeah, so with this, we would like to end our session. But before that, I would really appreciate if you have any doubts, any questions, feel free to connect with Dr. Ruksheda over the LinkedIn, over Instagram. We will be sharing her IDs and tagging her on our stories. So you can just go follow her, follow the work she's doing. And we would love you guys to share the feedback as well. So with this, we are ending this session. Thank you so much, everyone, for putting forward so lovely comments in the chat box, loving the responses. And at the same time, see you again some other day, since we are very short on time, so we won't be able to take any questions. But yeah, feel free to just DM us and we will be answer to your questions. So with this, we are ending our sessions. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you some other day. Thank you.